Hello again. Welcome to class 473. Yes, sir. I'm wearing a sweater today for the first time ever. For the first time ever. All right. Are you ready? Shall we begin? Inés Garcia. Inés Garcia, Marta. Yes, she's talking on the phone to Francois Monet. Francois is in Paris. Inés is in Seville. All right. Inés had never been so excited in her life. Ever since she had gotten back from Seville, or to Seville, perdona, porra. Ever since she had got back to Seville from Paris 2 months ago, 2 months ago she went to Paris, she had talked to Francois Monet on the telephone almost every day, almost every day, almost every day. It's a good thing he usually called her. It's a good thing he usually called her. Menos mal que él siempre, o casi siempre le llamaba a ella, él a ella. Yes, it's a good thing. It's a good thing means menos mal. Menos mal. Yeah, menos mal. It's a good thing that he usually called her because otherwise, porque de otra forma, her father might have said something about the phone bill. Otherwise, her father might have said something to her about the phone bill. Said, excuse me, Inés, my God, Inés, we have 700 euros of telephone. Wow. Have you been calling Paris every day? Well, in this case, Francois is calling Inés almost every day. It's a good thing he usually calls her. It's a good thing he usually calls her because otherwise, her father might have said something. Puede que haya habido, posiblemente habría dicho algo. He might have said something to her about the telephone bill or about the phone bill. La factura del teléfono, the phone bill. 2 weeks ago, Francois surprised her wow, with some unbelievable news. Some unbelievable news. A week earlier, okay, 2 weeks ago, es hace 2 semanas, 2 weeks earlier, no, 2 weeks ago, Francois called her and gave her some unbelievable news. Because a week earlier, which means 3 weeks ago, a week earlier, he had mentioned to his uncle, todo es pluscuamperfecto aquí. Entonces, una semana antes había mencionado a su tío. A week earlier, he had mentioned to his uncle, Pierre Monet, that he was looking for a way to bring Inés to live in Paris. Okay. He said, Pierre, hey, uncle, I'm looking for ways to bring Inés to Paris, to live here with me. The next day, after speaking with his nephew, after Pierre, the translator, remember? After he spoke to his nephew Francois, Pierre called the chairman of Peugeot. Yes. Pierre called to say that he had asked the chairman of Peugeot if they might need a lawyer expert in Spanish labor law. Yeah. It says, Gerard, I have a friend. Well, my nephew apparently has fallen in love with a Spanish girl from Seville. Her name is Inés, and he wants to bring her here. Now, her father is a lawyer and has a law firm in Seville, and she collaborates with her father. She works with her father, especially in areas of labor law. Gerard, do you think that maybe Peugeot might need, mira como maybe might, que posiblemente necesitase, do you think that Peugeot, PSA may need somebody who's expert in labor law or in Spanish labor law? All right, so the next day, Pierre called Francois to tell him that he had asked the chairman, he had asked the chairman of Peugeot if ellos, la empresa, if they might need a lawyer expert in Spanish labor law. Labor law, derecho laboral. In Great Britain, I think they say employment law. At first, the man said no. But when Pierre explained the circumstances and told him that his nephew was lovesick, mi sobrino está enfermo de amor. My nephew is lovesick. But when Pierre explained to the chairman of Peugeot that his nephew was lovesick, the benevolent side of the chairman came out. Surgió el lado benevolente del presidente de Peugeot. The benevolent side of the chairman came out, and he assured Pierre that Inés could come to work in Peugeot in the legal department. Wow. Not bad. The first time Pierre calls and said, Gerard, do you think it's possible for my nephew to bring his future Spanish wife, maybe, to Paris, and she can work in Peugeot? Do you have a position for her? She's a lawyer, expert in Spanish labor law. And at first, Gerard, the chairman of Peugeot, said no. But then when Pierre explained the circumstances, the benevolent side of the president, the chairman of Peugeot, came out. Su lado benevolente salió, came out. O sea, salió de él, surgió, came out. And he assured Pierre, said, don't worry, Pierre, I assure you, te aseguro, I assure you. So he assured Pierre that Inés could come, no problems, could come to France. Yeah, that she could come to work in Peugeot in the legal department. When Francois conveyed the message to Inés, she jumped for joy. Saltó de júbilo. Bueno, I'm not so sure. Is she jumping for joy? I don't know. A little bit. She's talking like this. All right. Yes, when Francois conveyed. To convey is transmitir. A conveyor belt. Belt is cinturón. Cinturón de seguridad. Seat belt. But a conveyor belt is una cinta transportadora. Conveyor belt. And the verb to convey is transportar. En este caso, transmitir. When Francois conveyed to Inés this message, or conveyed the message to Inés, she jumped for joy. She was tired of defending labor cases in Seville and was dying to be with Francois. Se moría de ganas de estar con Francois. Es que Francois es Francisco, como Paco, como su boyfriend. Same name. You have her ex-boyfriend. She was tired of defending labor cases. Yo estaría cansado también. Defender casos laborales en los tribunales. She was tired of defending labor cases in Seville and was muriendo. She was dying to be with Francois. He told her to prepare her CV and send it with a letter to the chairman of Peugeot, thanking him for his fine gesture and saying something about herself. Okay. He told her, Francois told Inés to prepare her CV. CV is curriculum vitae, her resume, her CV. All right? And to write a letter thanking the chairman of Peugeot, thanking him for his fine gesture, para su buen gesto, su buen detalle. We say fine, como fino, como fine, fine, En este caso no significa estoy bien, gracias. Fine, thank you. Fine means su gesto de alta clase, de so good. Fine means de alta calidad. Un detalle, un gesto de alta calidad hacia ella, y hacia Pierre y de François. So he told her, François told Inés to prepare her CV and to send it with a letter to the chairman of Peugeot, thanking him for his fine gesture and saying something about herself. Yes, my name is Inés Garcia. My father is a lawyer, has a law firm, an important law firm in Seville. I have a degree in law. I'm helping my father in areas of labor law. And at the same time, I'm taking courses in business administration in the evenings at the University of Seville, etc., etc. Things about herself. The next morning, after Francois called her and gave her the information, the next morning Inés called a friend of hers, yes, who had grown up in France, and asked if she could help her write a letter and a CV in French. Okay, so Inés has a friend in Seville, a Spanish friend, who grew up in France. And so she wants her friend to help her write the letter to the chairman of Peugeot and also to prepare the CV in French because she has a CV in Spanish, but it's not in French. So she needs her friend to help her, right? Because her friend, I repeat, grew up in France. The next morning, Inés called a friend of hers. Escuchen la fonética. The next morning, la siguiente mañana, mañana siguiente, the next morning, Inés called a friend of hers. Aquí hay la D sirve de bisagra en dos puntos. Called a friend of hers. Llamó una amiga suya. Llamó a una amiga suya. The next morning or the following morning, Inés called a friend of hers. Ahora le hacemos como Dios manda. Called a friend of hers. Called a friend of hers. She called a friend of hers. She called a friend of. Called a friend of. So the following morning, Inés called a friend of hers. Yeah? Why? To help her. Yes. Who had grown up in France and asked if she could help her write a letter and a CV in French. 2 days later, she sent them to Peugeot. 2 days later, she sent them to Peugeot. Exactly 7 days later, pasados 7 días, exactly 7 days later, she received a nice letter from the head of human resources. From the head, la cabeza, o sea, el jefe. Se dice mucho head para jefe. ¿Eh? De hecho, los jefes de departamento, solemos decir department heads. Department heads. La plantilla de una empresa se dice muchas veces head count, el recuento de cabezas, como cabezas de ganado, ¿no? The head. Head count. What's the head count in this company? I don't like the expression, head count, but they use it a lot. But department head, yes. I'm the head of this organization. Aquí mando yo. I'm in charge. I'm the head. And in this case, the head of human resources, recursos humanos. Yes, exactly 7 days later, Inés received, or she received, a nice letter, una carta agradable, baja. She received a nice letter from the head of human resources offering her an initial 1-year contract to work as an assistant to the chief legal counsel in Peugeot. The chief legal counsel means el asesor jurídico jefe, asesor jefe jurídico de Peugeot. It's a very high position. But she would be an assistant, ayudante a, de ayudar a. Okay. So the head of human resources called her or wrote her a letter? She wrote a letter offering Inés an initial 1-year contract. Only 1 year. But menos da una piedra, ¿verdad? Yeah, it's good. It's good. An initial. Later, perhaps, you can renew the contract. But an initial 1-year contract to work as an assistant, como ayudante a, as an assistant o como adjunto a, as an assistant to, fíjate si dice a, como ayudante a, no ayudante de, as an assistant to the chief, gran jefe, chief, the chief legal counsel. The expression legal counsel is an expression often used in business for asesor jurídico. He told her, the head of human resources, he told her that she should be settled in Paris and ready to work within 30 days. Okay. He told her, the man, the head of human resources, told her that she should be settled. Debería estar asentada, literalmente. To settle has many meanings. Settle, doble T, has many meanings. One meaning is ya, establecerse en un sitio y ya, alquilar, ya vivir is to settle. Settle also is colonizar. Massachusetts fue colonizado por unos puritanos religiosos. Massachusetts was settled by Puritans. Virginia was settled by adventurers, like Captain John Smith and Pocahontas, you remember. And Mexico was settled by Spaniards. Yeah. Cuba was settled by Spaniards. Settle. And a settlement is una colonia, un asentamiento, is a settlement. To settle. But settle has many other meanings. Liquidar una cuenta pendiente is to settle an account. Yes. Resolver unas diferencias entre tú y yo. To settle a few differences. Settle. Siempre se entiende. Settle means, ya, el agua vuelve a su cauce, pagando la factura o resolviendo la discusión, to settle. O asentándose en París en este caso. Settle. All right. So, he told her, the head of human resources in Peugeot, told Inés that she should be settled, debería estar asentada literalmente, in Paris and ready to work within 30 days, dentro de 30 días, de aquí a 30 días, within 30 days. For Inés, it was a dream come true. Wow. Un sueño hecho realidad. It was a dream come true. I've taught this expression before, but I teach it again. It's a dream come true. It was a dream. Her father thought it was wonderful. Ah, hija mía. Ah, qué bueno. All right. Her father thought it was wonderful. All right. His mother, his mother. Hay una rata aquí. There's a mistake. All right. ¿Dónde estaba esto? Inés, where are you, Inés? There's a mistake here. I'm going to see if it's in the book. Normalmente pillamos las ratas. Let's see. Her father, dice her father, right? Her father thought it was wonderful. Her mother, aquí dice his mother. Her mother. Okay. Yes, for Inés, it was a dream come true. Her father thought it was wonderful. Her mother. No problem. Eh? My people are very good. Eh? Mi gente pilla mis ratas. Her mother insisted that she wanted to meet this Francois Monet fellow before letting her daughter go off to Paris. Okay. The father, Inés said, Father, I have a job in Peugeot in Paris in the legal department. And the father says, great, Inés. Oh, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. I'm really happy for you. And the mother, who is this Francois Monet boy? I want to meet him. Yeah, está bien, ¿no? La mamá cuida a su hija. Yeah, Mama Oka. All right, she's going to take care of her little chick. But his mother insisted that she wanted to meet this Francois Monet fellow, este tipo, before letting her daughter go off to Paris. Fíjate cómo digo off. Lo puedes quitar. Go to Paris. Antes de dejar que vaya a París. To go off means que vuele del nido hasta París. To go off to Paris. When Inés told him this, hey, Francois, my mother. When Inés told him this, Francois immediately reserved a ticket on Iberia to fly Paris, Madrid, Seville for the following weekend. He's a good guy. He said, okay, tu madre me quiere reconocer. Sin problema. Mañana yo reservo billete. All right. And so, boom, boom. But the following day, he didn't have a direct flight Paris, Seville. So he booked a flight. He reserved a flight, Paris, Madrid, Seville, for the weekend to meet the mother and father. All right. Can you imagine? I mean, the mother and father don't know. They don't know Francois Monet. And already, Inés has made plans to live in Paris with him. And the parents don't know the man. So you can imagine, yeah. And I would, the father said, wonderful. Bah, los hombres somos así. Okay, no problem. Yeah, But the mother, well, it depends. There are certain fathers in which Francois needs to ask Inés's father for her hand. He venido para pedir la mano a su hija, de su hija. Okay, fine. Esto, with the father. That's an interesting conversation. So this weekend, maybe Francois is going to speak to the father para pedir la mano. Okay. And to speak to the mother, Señora, es un gran placer to meet you. Okay. I imagine he'll make a good impression, don't you? Yeah, I mean, look, if you find pictures, there are pictures here of Pierre Monet, and he's a very handsome young man. No lo encuentro now, I can't find it now, but he's a very handsome young man, Pierre Monet. Francois Monet. But I can't find him. Ah, here he is. I found a picture. You can't, this is a different picture, but here you can see it. It's after the traffic accident. And so he's a nice-looking man. Tall, handsome, pleasant, nice, courteous, polite. Many positive adjectives for Francois Monet. All right. Okay, so what do we know? We know that Inés is going to go to Paris, and she's going to settle in Paris. Probably share a flat with Francois. I don't know if Francois lives with his parents or not. I don't know. But all of this is thanks to Pierre, Francois' uncle. As you remember, Pierre Monet is a translator in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But at the same time, in the evenings, he works freelance as a translator. And perhaps his most important client is Peugeot, the company, but especially the office of the chairman. Pierre is a very good translator. He knows perfect Spanish, perfect French, and perfect English. If you remember, his mother is English, so he grew up with English at home. His father is French, but his wife is Spanish. I think from San Sebastian, from the Basque Country, I think. I don't remember. It says it here, I think. And so he speaks the three languages perfectly. And he translates for Gerard, the chairman of Peugeot. And he called him, said, Gerard, I have a little problem. Maybe you can help me. My nephew has fallen head over heels in love. Cabeza sobre talones. O sea, cuando, En barrena es así, right? But head over heels, this is the head, these are the heels. Cabeza, talón. To fall in love. You understand? And we say, it's very common, to fall head over, cabeza sobre, head over heels in love. In this case, in love. Siempre es en love en este caso. O solo se usa para el amor. To fall head over heels. No hay que decir en love, se entiende. He has fallen head over heels for a girl from Seville. Una sevillanita. All right. Dangerous. Como Carmen de Bizet. Yeah. And he says, my nephew has fallen head over heels in love with a girl from Seville. She's a lawyer. And would it be possible for Peugeot to find a job for her so that she can come to Paris? And at first he said no, but then the benevolent side came out. He said, no problem, Pierre. She can come. I'll see you tomorrow.